Alright, hello YouTube and Legion people. I am back with another game review. This time we are reviewing a game of Mr. Vazir. He's facing Dumbo the Elephant and Stoppleweren. Those who don't know, Dumbo the Elephant is Mr. Shadowwings. So this has some gameplay implications as we kind of know how he plays. But let's first start with our initial roll. Um, So this is our initial role, and we have the champion mastermind. And given that I'm sending into Shadow, I would probably go for a champion gate guard opening. I know it's not super strong. I know that just like, um, I don't know, power level wise, the opening Sakura with champion is probably better. But I expect Shadow to pick Fiesta again, and I think it's very beneficial for me to have a lot of workers and it gives me still decent value from the champion. So I would probably do, I don't know, man. I don't know, fam. It's a little bit difficult because we have very little peers. Um, could pick the Warp Wing, could pick Mudman. I don't know. Yeah, Tempest doesn't really fit. One could also open Fire Archer, but I don't love it so much with Champion because we kind of want to get value early. We can also do Graal into Avenger, which is not horrible with Champion either, because then we have a very good Champion target very early on. Then we pick the Dark Mage for sure. Um, could also do this, but yeah, it's a little bit, it's not ideal. Anyway, we end up going with the Champion Sakura, which I think is probably quote unquote the best choice in a vacuum. But if we expect to send into a Fiesta player, the waves will be long, so Sakura is proportionally weaker, and having more pressure makes the game for the Fiesta player harder and makes the game a little bit easier for our teammates. So I would probably go for this. That being said, I don't think it's a mistake to open Champion Sakura. It's probably even the best thing we can do. Yeah, I don't know if I love the king up on one in this case. Again, Fiesta player, it's 50-50. Shadow also has a lot of openers that want to be snailed. So it really just, well, it is a coin flip. What can you do? Yeah, so we just open Sakura, we push to 5 workers, we can't send him a snail on 2, so that's fine. I would have preferred for our teammate not to pick champion on the Proton, but on the flower. I think it gives us more stability early on and a little bit more push. But yeah, also with what's happening in the game, I don't think it really matters. Probably ended up being even better on the Proton, given that really on the big waves where we got Sense, the Nucleus is kind of good. Okay, anyway. Yeah, we go full on wave 3. I think this is a good choice. I personally would not have added the Peewee on wave 2, wave 3, sorry. I just think it's much better to add seedlings, even split seedling, because yeah, I closed my game. I don't want to start it to show it, but if you have an even split with a seedling here and a seedling here against the DT, did he have a DT? Probably not, but even later on, it's kind of good to pull the big tank right because it will never get focused because of the seedling AoE. So I prefer it, but on the other hand, you end up having to sell the seedling for wave 5, so it's 50-50. Okay. So we push to 7 workers, we get another send. I personally would have probably gone Robo here. Because Shadow, given that he sent here, he is going to try to push for a wave 5 or a wave 6 probably. Or even longer, because it's Shadow after all. But I don't think Lizard is a big mistake. I just think he's always gonna over push quite heavily, so yeah, going full is potentially what I would have gone for. And then we go for a full reset on 5. I like this play. I like our teammate. This is kind of a strange play, right? Because Stoppelwehren on wave 4, he's 435 value, he's like plus 90, but then he pushes 2 workers into the no send here, so he can leak the 3 robos. So this ends up being a good play. I'm not sure if 3 robos is really quote unquote a good play into someone that's so high value on wave 4. But then again, we probably try to kill the Wig so he gets less gold. Yeah, probably a fine play. And then we're expecting wave 7 at this point, right? Because well, we have a Sakura, so he's probably going 7 on us. And Shadow will never send after leaking like this because, oh no, now I can't break my guy, so we have to prepare wave 7. We do so by building the Graal. I don't think a Nucleus this early is really worth it, because you kind of need like 1 or 2 atoms to really make this worth, even with a champion. I don't think we had great options, but I just think like 3 atoms and more tanks is probably better compared to what we're doing here. We're also full sending into Shadow, get a little bit more gold. It's of course a gamble. You could also full skip here and try to make him hold, so the send on 7 is a little smaller. But I don't hate the play either. We're playing to be in a carry position at this point because our teammate is not going to carry the game. Shadow has played like he always does. He has one objective in the game, which is to take 2 people out of the game, the guy he's sending to and himself, and he is going to be very successful with that. We get a send, but we don't really push so much. We make sure we get the Avenger so we can hold. That's good. We do income King, which is probably correct given that we take King damage here. Enemy leak small. Teammate gets a 280 send on wave 7. There's not much he can do. Again, I think he might do better if he has, instead of the Nucleus, he has more atoms, because this probably doesn't get, well, it does get full mana probably, but not like for a long time. So this is a little bit of an issue. And at this point, the game is really kinda even if we look at the net worth, right? We have a little bit less income. Well, it's the income numbers are a little bit fucked given that that's how Drachbot works, but the net worth after wave 7 is quite even. Like we're very, very minorly ahead. But tactically, we are in a spot where Wokkel is kind of behind, and he's sending it to someone that's ahead, which is kind of hard to do. Shadow is kind of out of the game, but he can still leak Wokkel, but we can always leak Shadow. So we have to, at this point, we have to really approach this game tactically. And given that we're at 59% King, and given that it's Shadow, he will probably try to go for a long save and to kill us with next send, or at least do significant damage. And given that there's no defensive spell in the game, and Overwork is in the game, he will most likely target wave 11 or wave 12. Wave 12 is really good against us, wave 11 is better against our teammate, so it's 50-50. But I think we should be trying to defend against that. And how do we defend against that? We defend by undercutting or by matching. If we want to match them on 11, I would go for a full resend at this point, because they don't look amazing on wave 8. And there's always a chance, I mean, Shadow will probably push and take a risk on wave 8, knowing him. So, like, I don't know, a mole or whatever would probably ruin him. And this guy, well, at least he will lose his wankers. He's not going to cover much. We can get king damage. So I would either go full resend on wave 8, or I would try to go wave 10 on them. Because on wave 10, we can probably have a sovereign if we just double Graal for wave 9. Then we will always hold. And if they go 10 on us, we are in a very good spot. Teammate is also decent on 10. But we're in a lot of trouble if they go 11, because even though we have a Sakura, our tank situation will not be amazing on wave 11. Sure, we can probably hold, but if teammate gets like a ram or whatever big send, he's gonna be completely out of the game. And it's also like he's 820 value on wave 7. He's quite low workers, but he needs workers to punish this overbuild with bankers. So he has to push anyway, and we need to cover a little bit. So if we allow them to go wave 11, I don't think we're in a winning spot anymore. So yeah, teammate incomes here. I don't really like this choice. And he's also adding significantly for wave 8. This is playing only for a reason. And it's also him trying to get in a carry position where, realistically speaking, after this, I don't think you're ever getting in a carry position anymore in this game. Like, sure, you're not horrible doing on income or whatever, but Shadow is just gonna, like, when he 280s you on 7, he's gonna double down on fucking you over. And if you don't try to play support after that, it's usually just impossible to play the game for your teammate. Because you will not get ahead of Stoppleveren in this game, never, and then you can never leak him with your Sens, and you will still leak to Shadow Sens, and then teammate has to overbuild, hold, bigger Sens, plus leak his guy, which is it's just very hard to play. So strategically, I don't like this income king. Vizier is getting income king here. So imagine if you saved here, you could easily skip wave 9 and force wave 10, where this guy is not super amazing. Sure, he has wankers, but his tank situation is kind of iffy. And Shadow just will not have enough tanks to make his build work. And if we go full resend, I think this is probably barely holding on Stoppleveren, right? And Shadow is like minus 100, minus whatever. We have a lot of workers. We can probably double brute, mole him, whatever. So then he full leaks here, and then we're also in a good spot. I don't like this split send. This is Wokkel incoming and Vizier saving. It's kind of suggesting to me that you guys are trying to get Wokkel into a carry position. But in this game, with how it's gone so far, this is just not an option. I think it's always better for Vizier to income and try to scale and carry compared to Wokkel. And Wokkel is also trying to overbuild to hold the next send, which will just not work. Shadow is in a too decent spot with too many workers, and Wokkel is too far behind to do realistically well against the next send, unless it comes specifically on wave 8. And I just don't think this is a good quote-unquote risk-reward management. So yeah, then we don't make the situation better by going full on wave 9 because, well, Shadow can just unhunt his reds. And I mean, I guess you were expecting them to go wave 9, but I don't understand why, because you got a send on wave 8. So even at this point, I think it's strategically much better to go wave 10 on them. Shadow unhunts his reds, he holds the full send, and now I think the game is quote-unquote over. Like, net worth wise, we're in a very good spot. We even have more income, but Shadow gets infinite gold from killing these 4 brutes. And they have a free wave 11, and Wokkel is 9 workers, and he will full leak on wave 9, wave 11, sorry, no matter what he does. He does not have any way to play the game. He cannot participate in the game because Shadow has decided that Wokkel will not play this game. Thank you for a fun and interactive gameplay style. So yeah, wave 10, you could have even considered full resending. You get your Sov, but I mean, sure, you have to probably get the Sov, but then again, you're not expecting a send 10, right? Could have considered full resending because you kind of need gold to hold wave 11. Not into teal, because teal at this point is unleakable. Then wave 11 comes, and sure, we hold. I don't know if overwork is the correct play. I don't like the full send here into them, because realistically, Shadow might leak, but he's very strong on 11, right? His build is insane. And this guy is a lot of plus value, so at this point you have to be realistic and say, we are not leaking them here big enough to make a full send worth. It has to be income king to take less king damage, but even that feels kinda rough. But now with the full sends, we hold our full send, but we take 40% king damage. We are ahead in net worth, but our teammate is like 300 net worth behind, and he's on 12 workers, right? It's like 160 income. They have 200, and his build with the atoms is a build that plays much better from ahead, of course. So, which is why he's trying to get ahead. But yeah, this is just now it's just game over. I don't think you have any realistic play at this point. Yeah, this is really rough. Now, I think you could always try to do like a crazy undercut for wave 13 or something. Like double full push, have teammate full Sui for 13. Because Shadow is not amazing on 13, he just lacks tanks. All his tanks are garbage on 13. And Vizier is really strong on 13, so maybe at this point you just double full push and force 13. Maybe you could full cover with Sea Dragon or whatever. But you do not, well, you decide to overbuild on Vizier a lot and Wokkel full pushes, which I guess kinda makes sense because he has to leak this guy. But I really think you needed to full commit for wave 13 at this point. We're also re-rolling on 12. I think I would have probably gone. I think this is what you went for. I'm not sure. I don't think there's a really good unit for us because we kind of expect wave 14 at this point, right? Like looking at the builds, they want to 14 or even 15 us. Looking at their builds, they are probably happy to force 14. So we were really looking for, I don't know, Badger or really good tanks for 14, which we didn't find. And yeah, now with 13 comes looking at values, right? Just imagine for a second, we both full push here, like Wokkel does. He's 20 workers, we could be 28 or something. Then Shadow is 2.2k value here. He might unhunt his reds and be 2.5, but his build is really weak here. And this guy has nothing to kill Ghost Knight. And I'm pretty confident that we have Ghost Knight on Wokkel and we have, I don't know, Centaur Pack or something on Wazir. And then they leak significantly. They are probably massively on fire. You get shut down, you get a lot of gold. And then at least you have something to play for. Because that makes it awkward for them. Then they don't want to really send 14 into you guys, because Vazir's getting 1,000,000 gold. And yeah, at least you have you play for something, right? And you know, Wokkel has a 1-stack Kingpin, which he needed to do for wave 11, but it's just his build is just rough. And now 14 comes. Yeah, we even hold on Vizier. We go full for fun into 2 builds that are significantly stronger on 14 than on 13. And Wokkel can't, I mean, he can't play the game, he can't do well against the Ghost Knight, and his league kills us, and there's really nothing we can do. Sure, you should just income king here in this spot, but I don't think the game is really playable. So yeah, I don't really have, I mean, it's a hard game to play. Again, one point is I would not start Sakura in this spot, but this is just to give me more options. I think this is fine. I think up to this point, you really played it fine. I think you're in a decent spot here. It's not super easy to play, but there's not really much you could have done differently or should have done differently, in my opinion. But at this point, you have to, I think, in my opinion, have to play for red to get in a carry position, for Vizier to really just have workers, leak his guy, and be able to cover. And this is done by saving on Stopp Leveren. You can either full undercut on wave 8 or force wave 10. That way you do not allow Shadow to get... Like, because Shadow, what he wants to do in this spot is, like, he's very happy because Wokkel is kind of behind already. And he's in a spot where he knows that if he's allowed to save for 3-4 waves, he can leak 100. He can get 100% leak on Wokkel again. And if he leaks 100% himself, he doesn't care, because his only goal is to take the two people here out of the game. And he will succeed in taking Wokkel out of the game. And he will try everything to make Stoppler-Wehren be in a carry position in this game. And if you try to avoid this by trying to have Wokkel be ahead, this will not work unless you are already ahead, like on wave 3, and you're not. So I think strategically, this split income king resend is a mistake. They are playing correctly to have Stoppler-Wehren in the carry position. This is exactly what you want to do when Wokkel is behind and Vizier is ahead. And you are trying to do something else, and this doesn't really work. And then the 9 cent fails, and then the game is just over. There's just nothing you can realistically do at this point unless they fuck up. Sure, wave 11, you should income king, but at this point, you're already... Okay, at this point, wave 9, the game is strategically almost losing for you, I think. After wave 11, you are in a losing spot, and the only way to get out of it is by trying to have the opponent make a mistake. And the only mistake that I could see them make is not realize you're double full pushing for wave 13 and like leak there. Because realistically, they will overbuild, they will long save, and the next send will kill you. You are on 19% king, Wokkel will leak 100% again, or he will be not leaking 100%, but then he has to stay on 12 workers, and he will be completely out of the game after the next send, and then you lose on wave 17. So Wokkel has to push, but then you have to really just full commit for wave 13, which I'm not sure would work in this spot, but at least it's something to play for. Whereas this wave 14, with a full send as well on their quote-unquote best wave in the game, I just don't see working. So that's my take on the game. I hope there was something useful to you in this review, and good luck next time.